Hey everyone, this is Rob Adams of the Actors Workshop, and welcome back to In the Abyss. Today we are going to talk about understanding as an actor. And if you think about the history of acting, and this is a great thing for any of my viewers. If you are one of my students, it's good to reiterate this and hear it. If you're not one of my students but in the acting world, maybe it's something that will entice you to come in and see what true film acting is all about. And if you're just the casual watcher of these videos and stuff like that, you kind of get an insight more of the mind of the actor. But if you go historically through the world of acting, you used to look at a script to understand the scene, to understand the character, to understand from the standpoint of how your brain would work. Well, when you fast forward to the way that film is today, and it actually is a rare way of teaching, because people just teach the ideas of acting. They teach what people think acting is rather than teaching what real film acting is, which is understanding the situation or the period you are in, or whatever else it is. And one of the things I really try to do as an acting coach is always trying to challenge my actors in different ways. And yeah, I have different levels of actors, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And so I have to find different ways to challenge at different levels. But the one thing you can constantly challenge is, how do they mentally approach their work? How do they mentally approach? Are they approaching from the ideas, or are they approaching from the understanding? If they approach from the understanding, then you can deal in the situation, which helps you in turn become more believable. And that's one of the things I've been working on in class quite a bit lately, is working on situations where they have to understand a situation. Because if I said to you, can you imagine killing somebody? Your mind would say, no, I can't. And if you are an actor and you try to imagine that situation, you're creating the idea, because that's what imagination is. You have to understand that that's who you are, right? And as humans, we have that ability in us. Now, most of us, it's shoved way low, and so it's not triggered. But there are those who have it more at the surface. It gets triggered, and that behavior comes out. Well, as actors, we have to learn how to open ourselves up to be triggered and allow those parts of us to come out. So we want to turn off the imagination, open up the instincts. And the way you do that is understanding that when you go back in time, for example, meaning different periods, whether it be the 1692 or 1653 during the Salem witch trials, or 1860s during the Civil War, or 1890s when Jack the Ripper roamed the streets, or the 1400s where the early years of the hierarchy of England, things that they make the movie or the TV show, the White Queen off of, and stuff like that. You have to understand that all they knew is what they knew. And it's easy for us today to play these roles or look back and go, oh, they could have done this, they should have done that. But they didn't understand that. And that's what we have to understand, is we have to go back to a period of time, live in those moments, not knowing what the future holds, and being able to deal in those situations. And when you think that way, it opens yourself up for risk taking, because people who survive different eras of time, different periods of time, a lot of their success came from them putting themselves out there and taking risks to further their cause, to further their family, to further themselves. And because the unknown was out there, they were risks. As actors, because we know, for example, you do a movie like Titanic, you're on this ship that is going to sink. Well, the real people did not know that ship was going to sink. So our job as actors is to understand the period, understand the time, get on the Titanic and live those moments, treating it as if you don't know what's to come, and then you are able to be triggered when those moments happen. And that's a hard thing to do, because you really have to understand. But then after you understand, turning off the brain so you can deal, and that's what causes you to be triggering in moments, right? It's an easy thing to do once you learn how to do it right, and that's why you must train. You can watch these videos and take these tidbits and use these things whatever. But the bottom line is that unless you're in there training and getting the work, it's hard to get consistent where you can apply this on a regular basis where, I understand that I'm dealing with, the first serial killer of the modern time roaming the streets of England, right, of London. And to deal in those situations, for me, is why acting is so much fun, because I get to be Rob and I get to go back in time almost like a time traveler and now deal in a situation. The difference is, unlike a time traveler where I understand I'm back in time, I'm a time traveler where I am now in that time. And like I said, I live not knowing what the future holds. And once again, I think that is the fun part of acting. And that's where you have to get the brain out of there. One of the analogies I use is kind of like being a football player and knowing your playbook, right? And you're learning your playbook. It's very cerebral, right? And you have to understand concepts. You have to understand plays. You have to understand formations. But you want to know it so well that when you get into the game, you know it, so you're not even thinking about it, so you can go out and play. That's kind of what we want to do as actors. We want to understand situations. We want to understand periods. You have to understand, as an actor, you are hired because you're right for the part. So there's no reason to necessarily have to deal with a situation where you have to worry about being this character that you think the writer wants or that you think the director wants. You are the character. That's why the director, the producer, the writers, the powers that be have hired you. So now they are allowing you to be able to have the freedom now to go play the game. Once again, that would be us on the set, but that's like an athlete. When you're a football player, if you're on the field, the coaches are allowing you to play the game. And that's what we want to kind of do as actors. So if we understand, right, the period, we understand the situation, we understand all that stuff like we've been talking about, then as actors, we are able to now get on the set, not think about it, listen, engage with the people we're working with, and allow our instincts to trigger, and you learn to start to deal in situations, right? And that's when it becomes real. And all of a sudden, you are just living these moments, and it feels real and it feels authentic. But it also looks real and it looks authentic to the audience. And really, that is the goal of good film acting, because once again, the camera is going to capture behavior, right? And so unless you're in a movie like Ferris Bueller or those kinds of movies where they look and talk to the camera or acknowledge the camera, your goal as an actor is plain and simple, that your job is to be able to live and deal and let the camera capture you, because the camera doesn't exist. So hopefully that gives you a little insight of what it means to understand as an actor. And like I said, this is something that you have to work on. This is why you go to class. This is why you study. This is why you have to consistently work at this and train at it, so you can build that consistency of it, so it becomes second nature, right? So if you are interested in learning more, please reach out to me, www.theactorsworkshop.com. You can email me right from the website, or leave a comment in the comment section. So anyways, I hope you are enjoying your week. I know a lot of the families and kids and stuff are going back to school. We got to keep pushing forward. We got to find ways to push forward. We got to keep finding ways to challenge ourselves. And that's a lot of why I'm doing these videos for you guys, is just finding ways to, hey, here's some movies to watch, or hey, here's some things to think about, or hey, here's a trigger for you to get into an acting class. So keep going. We will see you later on this week for another episode. Enjoy your day.